Hello guys, Bound here, and today I'm back with some more battle replay analysis. The same team that I've been using. Now before the battle starts, I wanted to say that Pokemon Home is coming out next month, starting February, and it's going to be including all the usage stats for season one or seasons 1 and 2. I wanted to do a reaction to those usage stats when they come out, and just like see if like kind of some of my predictions came out about, like, let's say the top used Pokemon or most used Pokemon, so stuff like that. So I'll be uploading a kind of video going over those as well. So stay tuned for that. If you want to turn on notifications, that would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, so the first game is against Dragapult, Baxcalibur, Goldengo, Rotom Wash, Volcarona, and the Garchomp. So a lot of teams, like a lot of teams in season 2 have been like having so many dragons. So you have like 3 dragons on this team, and that's honestly like not that rare at all. Like that's really common to see because they're just so insane. Their stats are really good. They can do good in a lot of matchups. So here in this game, you might think that, you know, my Killer Watchel can just destroy the lead Garchomp, and so I'm just lead off with Killer Watchel. But Killer Watchel doesn't really get that much value like outside of it, so I kind of don't want to bring that. He does lead off with the Dragapult here, which is completely fine. That's actually good for me. But only issue with Dragapult is that its moveset, you have to like, you don't know its moveset until it uses a move, or at least like you don't know exactly what it's gonna do until it's been out for a 1 turn or 2 turns. So he goes for the sub here, and I just wanted to see what he would do, so I just knock off, because if he switches out, he gets his item on whatever comes in, but also it's like super effective against Dragapult. But he so he substitute, knockoff doesn't get rid of the item through the substitute, so this time I go for the hammer because he could be like a sub-disabled Dragapult, and if you guys played Pokemon Sword and Shield, sub-disabled Dragapult was more common than you would expect, because I don't know why, but it just was. Yeah, it was just crazy to deal with if you were playing back in Sword and Shield. Dragapult and Mimikyu cores were like everywhere back then. It was crazy. They kind of still are, but Mimikyu's kind of faded away a little bit. So he switches into Rotom Wash here, and he's 4 times resistant to the hammer, so it's not going to do much. And then I'm going to switch out to my Haxorus now. I think I've said this before, but the Gastrodon is really good against Rotom Wash because it walls it entirely. But the problem is that it's too passive. So, and also Rotom can trick. So just like you see there, trick is better for Haxorus than Gastrodon, because if Gastrodon gets tricked, it can't trick the choice item. It can't yawn, recover, or just like carry out the actual tank, you know, role that it's actually trying to do. I wanted to do for the team. So, and this has been a lot of really common thing with the Rotom forms. They like to trick their choice items and cripple like the switch-ins, and then that kind of allows them to get another switch, and then also set up on whatever else they have. So this is completely fine because I could just Earthquake and go through the Levitate, and this forces a Terra out of him. Because of the Earthquake, he's scared of the Mold Breaker Earthquake, because Mold Breaker ignores Levitate when attacking. So that means that the Earthquake would actually be super effective here. So he's yeah, so he's gonna Earthquake, do half. Anyways, so he does burn me with the Will-O-Wisp right there, and that's completely fine because after all, since he's Terra'd, like Haxorus wasn't meant to win the matchup anyway because he Terra'd out of a ground weakness. So he burns me. So the reason why he burned me the first time, so I had a Lumberry, so that got rid of my Lumberry, and then so he burns me with the Will-O-Wisp again, and then Dragapult comes out. So now it's like, okay, he could sub because I'm blocked into Earthquake and I'm burned, so I'm not going to be doing that much damage. So I don't want him to get a free sub. But I just want to kind of see what I didn't think he would actually try to. I think because I wanted to see if Earthquake would do enough to break the sub. I wanted to see how that kind of went out. So it doesn't do enough to break the sub, but if I Earthquake again, the sub is gone. Or actually, no. He just put the sub up after I Earthquake, so... The thing is, Haxorus doesn't really do much anymore, so I was like, okay, I can just kind of sacrifice Haxorus and just like have a better matchup when something comes in straight away, not just like switching something in when Dragapult can kind of just do whatever it wants. Yeah, and also then he can just attack, and he does do that right there. So this, in Sword and Shield, that set was really common. So you had like Sub, Will-O-Wisp, Hex, and like Dragon Darts or Disable or something like that. Like it's so hard to predict what Dragapult actually wants to do until you see it like actually do what it like has to do what it has to do. So I mean, the best thing you can do is like just have like a type advantage and or just like a tank just to kind of scout what he wants to do. Because otherwise it's a risk. Now Dragapult doesn't really have that much power. It has a lot of speed, but it's lacking power. So you can also just like the tank, using a tank to scout is probably the best way to go about it, I think. But he just Will-O-Wisp me there. Now, I don't want to obviously go into my Cerulege because I later realized that Cerulege can actually do really good at cleaning the game, because Dragapult might want to switch out because it doesn't really do much to Tinkaton, or he can just like, I don't think Hex is probably a 2 KO. I think it is because I'm burned. But basically he has, like I was looking at his team and I was like, Golden Go could be the last one. He could have some other stuff because, so Dragapult is, so my Cerulege is Life Orb, right? So it's going to do a lot of more additional damage with like Shadow Sneak or something. So Dragapult is going to not live a Life Orb Shadow Sneak from that range. And then I can just kind of clean up because he does go for the sub here, and that's when I predict. So the reason why I went for Swords Dance here is because if Dragapult gets a free sub, then that prevents Cerulege from doing anything, because a burned knockoff or a burned hammer could not potentially, I don't know if, I think a burned hammer will still break the sub, but I just don't want to risk like not being able to break it, because he could also Terra Steel and then kind of just get rid of the knockoff weakness and then get rid of the and then turn hammer into a resistance as well. So yeah, he gets the Hex. I am going to get 2 killed from that range, not from full, but from this range, unfortunately. But the good thing is I get rid of the, actually, did I get rid of the sub? Yeah, I did. It's so hard to see the Dragapult from like behind the hammer. It's so funny. Just like doesn't, like, it just completely blocks the view of Dragapult. I don't know why. But this is good. Because yeah, he heals back up to the green health. And so this is where Cerulege is just tasked to make the reverse sweep and just kind of just clean up, because that's what my Cerulege, that's my goal with the Cerulege in the first place, is to poke holes in the opposing team with the Life Orb and then also clean up, because it's also a really good, just the priority move is really nice, and then also the stab options like Bitter Blade, Shadow Claw. A lot of people don't expect Shadow Claw, which is really good because it can break through like Skeledirge, because if you're running like the Swords Dance Sash weak armor set, then that can't break through Skeledirge. So yeah, because it's unaware. So when you get the Life Orb Shadow Claw, that just does insane damage as well. And yeah, he's just going to just sacrifice the Rotom Wash, which dies to Shadow Sneak anyway. And we knew that because it was like offensive Rotom anyway, because he tricked a choice item onto us. So yeah, so that's definitely not going to live a Life Orb Shadow Sneak, even if he did save that. So his last one is going to be the Golden Go, and this is actually really good because saving my Terra really helps in this situation, because I can just prevent the Golden Go from hitting me super effectively with Shadow Ball. And like sometimes terraing just tearing in the right situation can help you win, like can be the difference between a win or a loss. Because I mean, if you have the right Terra type, so this is also the thing. Like I feel like a lot of the work for this team was done in like the team building, which is funny because usually that's not how it is. But since there's all these factors like Terra types, just like specific like moves and like EVs. I mean, my EVs are pretty simple. Like usually, most of my team's EVs are like maxed out in 2 stats. Pretty much all of them, except for like Tikaton. But that's just to make it easier in EV training as well. But also just like not really needed to do anything else because I want to just maximize the role for that, like for what it wants to do. But yeah. So he's actually that bulky Golden Go with the Rocky helmet. And this is funny because a lot of when a person finishes up a top rank and they have a set, that set becomes really common. So this is a proof right here because we have Golden Go, Rocky helmet with Hex and all that, and that's really common, or that's like really common now because a rank 1 player got rank 1 with that set. So Hex, Thunderwave, Focus Blast, and Recover. Golden Go with max defense, I think, and Rocky helmet. But Cerulege does get the cleanup right there with barely hanging on, and the life orb does make the difference right there. I think I did miss a roll to KO the Golden Go 1 hit, but that's completely fine because I was able to just just take the hit and then just completely just destroy the rest of his team. So yeah, on to the next one. All right, guys, we're on to the next game now. You might be seeing the title of the video and like, okay, Dondozo is the most messed up Pokemon in the game, and this game is gonna be showing why Dondozo is the most messed up Pokemon in the game. It's just crazy. So my strategy behind this one is Kilowatch will lead because it can potentially outspeed his whole team, unless he has Scarf on some of those Pokemon, and then Kilowatch just hits like the team pretty well because he has like Dondozo, he has Breloom, and then I can just outspeed pretty much everything. And then I have Gastrodon because of the Hydreigon Golden Go core, which is really common in Master Ball tier. It's kind of like in Pokemon Sword and Shield, for example, when a lot of people are running Hydreigon and Aegislash, which is very similar to this because Aegislash has the same typing as Golden Go, Seal, and Ghost, right? So it's just funny, like that those Pokemon just like defensively synergize really well because Hydreigon's weak to fire fighting and ice and stuff like that, and Fairy Golden Go just resists all of it. Or actually no, Hydreigon's not weak to fire. I'm sorry, it's weak to fighting, ice, dragon, and fairy. And I think I'm missing something, bug. And Golden Go resists all of those, and then Golden Go's weak to fire, ground, and like some other stuff that Hydreigon resists. So that core is just really insane. And yeah, it's loading the game in. I don't know why it takes that long. I think it's because of the connection from like here to Japan because these are Japanese players. So I'm guessing it just takes longer for the game to load in sometimes, which is unfortunate. Now, here is where I get revenge on a lot of Excaliburs because in this situation, a lot of Excaliburs like to go Terra Ground and prevent me from Bolt switching out. So I kind of just get revenge and just go Terra Fighting or Terra Ice to actually counteract the ground. So Excalibur otherwise would be an extremely big problem for my team because first of all, I can't switch into Icicle Spear, and then second of all, it's just way too strong. It's like 145 attack, so my team doesn't really have the best matchup against it, but it's definitely able to be played around if I just play it right. So again, like Terra Ground Excalibur, I'm not really sure why it's really that common. I'm guessing it's kind of to break down like unaware like Skeleturge or something because Skeleturge doesn't care about Dragon Dance and stuff. But I don't think that matchup comes up that much. But I don't know again because Excalibur seems like it would really do well against it anyway because it doesn't get Will-O-Wisp or anything like that. But yeah, so he goes Terra Ground, and we predicted that really well. But unfortunately, he seems to be a Assault Vest because he takes less than half. So that's just insane. So Excalibur, pseudo legendary stats, so it's going to be bulky as well as really strong. But that's completely fine because we now resist the Icicle Spear that we didn't originally, so we can take it, and then we can just throw out another Terra Blast, and Ice Shard, if he does have it, does not KO because we resist it now, so that's amazing. So unfortunately it does not appear to be a 2-hit KO, which sucks because I really kind of wanted this thing to just go away. But we'll just have to see how things play out later. Yeah. He's thinking right here, he's like, damn, did he really just predict that? But yes, I did, because that's just the common trend that you've been seeing with Excalibur. Again, I really hope the Pokemon Home usage stats show the Terra types that are being used in these Pokemon, because that will be really useful for a lot of people trying to like understand like how the Pokemon are ran and how to play against them and what to expect. So that's just hopefully that's the case. He does Earthquake me because I'm not flying anymore, so I could just get a consistent attack off and just kill me off of that. And now this might be, you might think this is bad, but Gastrodon can't take a hit from Excalibur, so I just need to get rid of this thing. And so I try to like look at his team and see if I Ice Beam. There's not really that much of a problem doing that, because if he switches in Breloom, it's going to take a lot. If he switches in Hydreigon, it's going to take a lot. And then like he just loses momentum as well. So now I'm just hoping that I'm kind of honestly hoping he forfeits the Excalibur, because then that can cause other problems for my team. He does Glaive Rush, which is insanely strong, does a lot of damage, but that kind of reveals a lot of information, because he didn't, I mean, it kind of doesn't, but him staying in definitely helps right there. So yeah, I get a little health out the leftovers, and this is where Serena like helps a lot here, because as you can see, you can't, well, not yet, but he does end up bringing in the Breloom. So Serena is really good against Breloom, because first of all, it can't get spored because of the grass immunity. Grass's types are immune to spore, and then also Serena's ability is immune to spore in general. But it's like I have Rocky Helmet, so it can't really attack me with like any other move besides Bullet Seed, which isn't super effective, and so it doesn't do that much damage. So Breloom doesn't threaten Serena at all, which is completely fine, because something I actually noticed is that Breloom was really like common in like the beginning of season 1 actually. So like the first ever ranked battles, like I was seeing Breloom insanely, like a lot. I don't know. I think it's because of the meta kind of transitioned away from Breloom, and also it got power crept a little bit, and also there's Golden Go, which had good as gold, so Breloom can't touch Golden Go unless it has like Bulldoze or something, so that Golden Go kind of got common, and Moongus got common as well, so Breloom kind of lost a lot of value with like the meta shifts and all that. But it still definitely can still like be a threat, because it has Technician and it has Spore. I know a lot of people are running Focus Sash to guarantee a Spore, and then it can just do other stuff. You know, honestly, if I was running a Breloom, I would run Spore, Swords Dance, Bullet Seed, and Mach Punch, because if you're putting something to sleep, and then you can just set up for free. I mean, I haven't seen Swords Dance being used on Breloom at all, because I guess it's because of the coverage, like useful coverage as well. But I don't know, I feel like Swords Dance could be pretty good. But anyway, I play rough right there. He does just not do that much damage to me, and he can't spore me. So this kind of reveals a lot, because he didn't immediately switch out his Breloom. Like on the first turn that I switched in, he attacked me. So I was thinking he probably doesn't have anything to to deal with my Serena. And also the good thing about Play Rough is that it is good against Dragon. So things like Hydreigon can't switch into Serena because it'll just get one shot. So he actually switches in the Dondozo. And so that's really good because Dondozo can't yawn me because I have Sweet Veil, and all of its moves won't do that much damage. But the problem is that Dondozo can one-shot any tank in the game that's not flying because of Fissure. So Dondozo getting a one-hit KO move kind of breaks the balance of the game, honestly, because you have, I feel like, so in Generation 8 we had kind of this Oko move meta where it's like a lot of Excadrills would run Horn Drill because of Corviknight, because Corviknight completely walled Excadrill in all of its entirety. So the only option Excadrill had was to Horn Drill and hope it hit. And that honestly, like, is fine because if you miss it, you die to Body Press. So it's like, it has the risk as well. But the problem with Dondozo is that it's a tanky Pokemon and it has a one-hit KO move. So it can stay on the field for extended periods of time and then just like throw out fissures without much risk, because it eventually, once gonna hit, it can throw out like multiple of them while staying alive. So eventually it's gonna get one of them. And so the thing is, I switch in my Gastrodon to the second fissure because I was like, okay, Gastrodon doesn't really do much now that he has Breloom and Dondozo. I was hoping I could get Gastrodon for free on the potential fissure miss, because I could yawn him and then that guarantees like a win pretty much, because he's either forced to switch out, sack Breloom, or just eventually get put to sleep and then he's shut down. But he just hits the fissure, unfortunately, and he tries to go for yawn to get a higher chance at hitting more or going for more fissures. But as you can see, the Sweet Veil coming in clutch, because like besides fissure, Serena walls the crap out of Dondozo. And the funny thing is, I actually used to run Terra Flying on this, literally just because of this matchup, because in the beginning of the meta, a lot of Dondozos were common running fissure. Like Dondozo was on way more teams than it is now. But unfortunately, he does hit the fissure right there. And if he didn't hit the fissure, I would have won. But sometimes Dondozo just does stuff like that. So to wrap up, Dondozo is the most messed up Pokemon in the game because of fissure. But it kind of makes a lot of sense. Some of it makes sense because you have Pokemon like Annihilate, which run like, usually I've been seeing like Bulk Up, Taunt, Rage Fist, and Drain Punch. And the best way to deal with that is actually with Dondozo because of Unaware and Fissure. So because usually Annihilate can power through tanks because it can taunt them and then Bulk Up. And then when the tanks are taunted, they're forced to attack Annihilate, which powers up the Rage Fist, which makes Annihilate just break through eventually. But when you have Dondozo, taunt doesn't matter because Fissure is an attack, and Unaware just doesn't care about Bulk Up either. So you Fissure until it hits, and Annihilate can't really touch you because Rage Fist is only 50 base power, Drain Punch is only 75 base power. So that's honestly the best way, in my opinion. Now, the funny thing is, my team actually has like a secret way of dealing with Annihilate, and that's like Serena Drop Kick, because Serena can lower the attack of Annihilate and just like offset the Rage Fist like powering up and all that. But the problem is that Annihilate can potentially run Defiant, so it's a risky move, but a lot of Annihilates are running Vital Spirit to prevent sleep, like Spore from Breloom or Amoonguss and all that. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say for this video. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.